Hi, I'm Tony Pounder from Intelligent Decisioning. Intelligent Decisioning have been a Microsoft partner for 17 years and we specialise in SharePoint Online and the wider Microsoft 365 platform. Over the 17 years that we've been Microsoft partners, we've seen organisations consistently struggle to turn SharePoint into something that looks and feels like a modern intranet. And that's exactly the problem that our products are designed to solve. In the next few minutes, I'll show you how Mercury Intranet, MegaNav and docCentrum work better together to make SharePoint look great, visually, structurally and from a user experience point of view. Everything you'll see today is still SharePoint Online, but we've built our solutions using Microsoft supported frameworks, SPFX and best practices, and we've refined these through years of real-world delivery experience. I'll remove myself from the bottom right hand corner while I demonstrate Mercury, MegaNav and docCentrum, and I'll pop back at the end for a short wrap up. Let's start with Mercury Intranet, and specifically how Mercury Intranet tackles one of the biggest challenges with modern SharePoint, that of branding and visual consistency. Out of the box, SharePoint themes apply colours at a site level, but most standard web parts don't give you much flexibility beyond that. With Mercury, all of our web parts automatically pick up the site theme, so as you move between sites, everything stays visually consistent and on brand by default. Where Mercury really stands out, however, is that you're not locked into the theme alone. Many Mercury web parts allow you to override colours and styling where it makes sense. For example, to highlight an important section, draw attention to key content, or visually separate areas of a page without breaking the overall brand. A great example of this is in the Mercury Intranet section header web part. This lets you create clear branded sections within a page using organizational colors, imagery and calls to action, something SharePoint Online doesn't give you out of the box. You'll see this used throughout Mercury Intranets to make pages more engaging, easier to scan and visually more interesting, while staying aligned to the corporate branding. The result is that SharePoint pages stop looking like long lists of web parts, start to feel like a designed intranet experience with structure, hierarchy and visual intent. Overall, Mercury Intranet gives you consistency by default, but flexibility where it counts. One of the challenges with modern SharePoint is that there can be too many menus and too many clicks. Mercury Intranet tackles that with the command bar, which provides a clean, consistent layer across pages for everyday actions and shortcuts. Rather than relying on default SharePoint menus, organizations can surface the things staff actually use, tools, links, sitemaps, in a way that's visually consistent and easy to manage. Associated sites help users move around large intranets without getting lost. It allows you to see hubs of hubs and the associated sites to those hubs. Visually, it makes the intranet feel intentional and connected, rather than a collection of disconnected SharePoint sites. And we can see here that with a short number of clicks, I can access any page inside of the intranet that I have access to. The command bar helps stop SharePoint feeling messy. It's much easier to navigate your way around. Next, we'll take a look at MegaNav. This is the moment where SharePoint stops looking like SharePoint. This is usually when people say, oh, this doesn't look like SharePoint. MegaNav replaces the layered, cramped SharePoint headers with a single clean branded mega menu. MegaNav brings your logo, navigation, breadcrumb and command bar together into one coherent header, using the full width of the screen, supporting imagery, tiles and clear visual grouping. Importantly, it's not just about aesthetics. MegaNav makes large intranets easier to understand, while ensuring branding, spacing and typography are consistent on every page, not just the home page. And because MegaNav is no code and centrally managed, teams can keep the intranet looking good as it evolves without breaking structure or governance. At Intelligent Decisioning, we believe that document management shouldn't just be highly capable and functional, it should look great as well. Too often, document management systems focus entirely on process and compliance, and the user experience becomes a tagged-on afterthought. With docCentrum, we've taken a different approach. We're bringing document control into the intranet experience so it feels familiar, intuitive, and visually consistent. docCentrum is built on top of SharePoint Online, and it adds structure, lifecycle control, and compliance on top. It brings things like controlled publishing, approvals, review cycles, and a clear single source of truth for important documents. What users see though is clean branded experience. Documents are easy to find, clearly presented, and surface naturally through the intranet rather than buried in libraries. A key part of what docCentrum brings is mandatory reading. Instead of organisations hoping people find and read critical policies, docCentrum assigns reading tasks directly to users, tracks acknowledgements, and produces a full audit trail without making the experience feel heavy or clinical for either side of the organisation. So using docCentrum, compliance becomes something people engage with, not something they work around. The organisation gets proof, reporting, and control, and users get a document experience that feels purposeful and well designed. docCentrum brings a combination of design and governance, and it's what sets it apart from other document management solutions. We like to think that docCentrum means compliance doesn't have to look like compliance. So what you've seen over the last few minutes is still SharePoint Online, but it's SharePoint Online enhanced with SPFX web parts and extensions. Mercury Intranet makes SharePoint look like a modern branded intranet. MegaNav makes navigation clean, visual and consistent, and docCentrum makes documents feel controlled, professional and compliant. Together, Mercury Intranet, MegaNav and docCentrum transform SharePoint from a very powerful platform into a great looking digital workplace that people actually enjoy using.